naturally, okay? You just and look at each other, and when you're talking to, it's fine. So just talk naturally. So yeah, look
If
at each other. Yes.
some part you don't feel is to your satisfaction, you can say NG.
What's that? That's Japanese for what?
Deny the picture.
Oh,
Sit a little closer because otherwise it's exactly that. So that's
okay.
yeah. There you go. There you go. That's much better. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. Uh-huh. And again, just natural. So don't have to look at me. You just look at each other. Don't look at me. Yeah.
So,
Is the sound the recorder or no sound?
Yeah, it's got sound. It's got sound. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is the sound, the volume good enough?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
so, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. So I've learned a lot about self-cultivation and what we can do to cultivate our energy. And one thing that I've always wondered was that I can cultivate myself, and here I have a safe place to live and things to eat, places to go, and it's safe. But I know on the other side of the world there's wars going on, and people are also sick, and also there are people who have died, and then their spirits are also still sad or angry. And so I was just wondering if there's anything that we can do to help, or
That's a good question. First of all, I use called spiritual self-cultivation, include several things. For example, sometimes we need a little bit of self-discipline.
self-discipline.
Discipline, people don't like it very much, but
Right.
we have to do it. For example, if we overweight, get the weight, we can eat less or choose good food. Choose quality rather than quantity. That's one way. Another thing, the result from cultivation we reach is self-improvement. It's harder to have the good result of how much self-improvement we made from our own cultivation. You mentioned that it's a matter of self-guard. You have to guard yourself. Because once you have your self-cultivation, notice you have become more sensitive to poison or black energy,
Right.
or dark energy. You have to guard yourself.
Right.
You cannot continue to be with some people or some environment that can harm you. But however, there is one thing. Cultivation is not a term. It's for example, there is a book called Work Book for spiritual development. You can become inner strength. You have inner strength. You can handle the situation much better. Is that the way you don't let the world take advantage of you in a negative way? Though we are open, like to be helpful to the world, at the same time, you need to keep away, from the negative situation.
Okay. And for instance, there are a lot of invocations. Can you use those invocations for the people who are suffering from the wars, or people who are sick, or people who have died from circumstances, and like a suffering
Or you
spirit.
talk about spiritual self-protection.
Do you have to protect, or is there any way that you
No,
can?
you make yourself strong.
Mhm.
Nothing, because they already not existing physically. Only a part of energy, maybe affection. Since you have doing the invocation and strengthening yourself, you attain that capability to shift off the bad energy.
Mm.
You know, as Japanese, you shall know that there's black magic, and anything with magic is nothing we interested, but spiritual self-defense important. You can get the self-defense from the book.
Okay, defense,
Defense.
protection.
Protecting the protection. There's two groups. One group for self-purification.
Mm-hmm.
Another more serious to increase your personal spiritual power is the golden invocation.
Golden invocation.
Golden light.
Golden light invocation. Mm-hmm.
By your spiritual energy increasing, you become a healer. Your work is more effective.
Mm.
If you know the right medicine, the right doctor, if the doctor is still weak, the effect is still low.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. And speaking of healing and medicine, I've also encountered some situations where people are suffering from illness, people are suffering emotionally and mentally, but at the same time, like, the illness or suffering have become their identity. Like, they say they want to let it go, but they don't want to, and they don't know that. And there's that disconnection, and like, do we just hold that place for things to transform, or do we, like, break through?
Use herb.
Use herbs.
Herb and acupuncture both.
Mm-hmm.
I can correct them.
Mm.
Use herbs to change the personal ingredients inside.
Right.
The structure,
Oh.
the tissue, the cells. This herb can improve cleansing out and then go new one. Then the acupuncture for immediate you can see the result.
Right.
Collect the emotion part.
Right. So I notice myself really.
This is why
Mhm.
we are in better position in general clinical psychologist. They use medication, then destructive. If they don't, then talk about no use. We can immediately see the result through herbs, acupuncture.
Internal, change the internal, transform the internal energy.
Channel to the right way.
Oh. Right.
Even we don't need to talk about explain, but we do it to just make trouble fixed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I also wanted to ask you if there are any messages that you have for the women of the world.
A woman, there's there's four type of women. Women in work, women don't work. Women married, and women not married.
Right.
The instruction will be different. Depend on what is the situation. Generally speaking, the young woman prepare to enter the society.
Mm-hmm.
That part it means less suffering, but more preparation should be done to face the world. That's we provide a lot of material there. About the middle-aged people, women, then the real suffering comes. if they have learned spiritually, they are prepared for the rough world. So just something happens, they changes in life, go to the spiritual side. There's no more fun. It means the middle-aged ladies easily suffered for social problem, family problem,
Right.
or relationship problem.
Right.
They have to change it. Change. I don't say they should give up with the whatever the present situation, but they improve their own, can produce new influence to the environment. Like you play the chord, you call it chord, the chess. The white to the black, this is. If the chess you put anywhere, immediately change the situation.
Right.
That's our herb, that's our medicine.
Oh. So they're very
You-
powerful.
You can say the whole thing, the plate, the white to the black stones, right?
Right.
To say the arrangement, the win or loss, is depend on the field. It's
Right.
where you put it.
So
That's
yes.
how we do acupuncture, how we do give the herbs. The selection, the choice is so important.
Right.
And in your personal life, the same thing. A situation brings it to you just like a chess, already sit. You don't learn, you lost it. You don't learn one step with the situation.
Right.
At least that's safe.
Right. So what about those women, especially nowadays, who work and who have children and have family and a lot of things on their plate, which seem far away from like feminine principle at times, soft, gentle, receptive. How can we navigate those challenges?
We suggest spiritual learning.
Mm-hmm.
From spiritual learning, they got something. From spiritual learning, they build up better understanding. Cannot be naive. Though we can maintain the naive heart, but the world is made by hand.
Right.
The different situation can be handled by spiritual learning to improve ourselves.
So really, discipline and
Right?
having spiritual cultivation is a part of life.
And so also immediately know
Mm-hmm.
what kind of situation can bring more trouble and what way to react can shift off the trouble.
Right. So being very aware.
Because
of
you are the one
ourselves.
sitting in the car
Yeah.
and turn along the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You become left or right.
That's right.
Then you have a sharp eye to watch out to the situation.
Right.
And that's it. The third eye is your cultivation, the developing.
And we do have responsibility of turning left or right.
Right.
There's an impact.
Right.
Of
Just
that.
say that can illustrate the situation. Right turn, correct way doing handle, you can save the trouble.
Right.
If you're too rush, too rude, turn away can help some trouble.
Right. Right. So what about to children? Do you have any messages for children?
Children the more trouble. It's not the mother, the father. They watch TV, cartoon, and play with other children, and bring all the bad influence. But however, the mother needs to spend more time to help the children, and also selectively what the program to the working partnership to let the children to work because one step better take a long time to build up. 10 steps backward, easy here, 1 second, learn from other children or watch the cartoon.
Right. Because they absorb.
Absorb.
and learn very quickly.
Right.
So we adults have responsibility of how we.
Be selective about what don't let the children programs by Hollywood. You do it.
Right. How about, do you have any messages for men of the world?
Men should be learn to be more responsible.
Responsible.
They are not the kids anymore. As a man, it's different. When the kids, they're easily affected. Though still we talk about feminine principle important for the world, but men still the backbone of the family, the backbone of the society.
Right.
If the backbone have trouble, the society have problem, the family have problem. So they are so important. To straighten up, cannot bend that way or either twist it that way.
And what do you see in current men? Like, what do you see, like a pattern or areas that you see particularly?
So far, we talk about we value spiritual self-cultivation because the society influence so strong.
Right.
Particular each 4 years, several years, constantly have a political campaign.
Right.
Everything affects you.
Right.
So if you don't have a self-cultivation to reach the independency, independent judgment, you're easily affected by newspaper, magazine,
Right.
or whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you become a victim.
Right.
So man is very important to be responsible for their own knowledge, judgment, and stand up. Be the backbone for the society, for the.
And if we have young boys in our family, how can we help them so that they can be the strong backbone of the society?
To my time, we have a small book called each sentence only 3 syllables, 3 words, Chinese characters, called the classic or 3 words. Not 3 words, have a page, about a page, several pages. The good line, choose a good book, make children should learn, repeat it, particularly when they are young. One thing, the other day, I think the message I should tell my American friends, don't spoil yourself. The adults started spoiling their own life, then the children also spoil. The whole
Right.
society, the whole world is spoiled. Lots of trouble.
Right. Right.
Particularly American.
Particularly.
Yeah, they have lots of material support provision to whatever they need.
So really being selective, really bringing awareness to
In wellness, then
balance.
how to apply your wisdom in a good selection.
Right.
Even you make plans of what the book to read, what the food to eat,
Right.
what the lifestyle, even what the movie you rent to watch in the weekend.
Right. And really sounds like getting into the present, each moment of what we do, how we interact with things and the world is important.
You know, we make a more illustrative ways can say this way. One side is society, one side is a personal life. In generally, you are being pulled by society.
Right.
You need to build your own strength, at least balance with society. What's the temptation, what the attraction, what is the pressure. However, you can stand strong, make your own choice.
Right.
Don't be victimized by whatever the social trend.
Right. So knowing yourself, cultivating yourself, bringing back to your
Right.
your nature and
Then you
essence.
can attain your self-knowledge. General people don't know a lot, go to school, have a high academic degrees, lacking self-knowledge.
Right.
Self-knowledge is each second you should have, and then don't do things.
Right. What about, do you have any messages for people that are sick in the world?
Already sick,
Mm-hmm.
cleansing themselves, drinking more tea, and cooperate with the right way. If that matter when you give me back like this, the medical system sometimes not pinpoint to the trouble. They help you. They turn along very much. This test, this examination, this test.
Right.
Through lots of, you spend lots of money, spend lots of time, you got no result.
Right.
So my education, spiritual education, I wish every people, whether man or woman, need to take care of their health, take responsibility for their own health.
Right.
There's no way to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Even you have the society can provide your health care. That's a step for it.
Right.
Without your own conscience about it, I have to take responsibility for my own health.
Right.
We talk about the 5 aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's each one can defeat your life. So that's important.
Right. And as far as like the medicine and the healing, how do you see, how do you envision the future medicine, future healing?
Unless human, the majority people can understand the integral way, the intention, they turn to go to our side. The other side is all personality. Because the people become intellectual. They need looking for something.
Right.
They created something, but useless.
Right.
All become a burden to new humanity. So the new now come to the stage of humanity, the cleansing the past, cleansing the older pattern, and value the organic health. If they don't rely, but only medical reliance, then whole humanity be destroyed. That's the process. Nature health is still the most valuable thing.
Right. Right. We tend to deviate from the fundamental nature
Right.
and organic health
Right.
in modern.
There's no
Society.
replacement.
Right.
Though the modern medicine can replace your heart, implant the heart, or if your heart failure, if your liver failure, they can transplant the organs. Nothing is better than your own health.
Right.
Only to those patients, they know about what the doctor pay lots of money for that. The result, keep their lifetime with things but no health. Is a what kind of condition you can see. Very bad situation.
So really every day, each
Every
moment,
day, right?
really
You should keep
count.
away from the touch of surgery, the touch of radiation or anything that will harmful thing.
Right.
Yeah, keep your own health. And use a little bit of nature help.
Right.
such as herbal medicine, as
Mm.
acupuncture.
Right.
That's my
Meditation,
thing.
Tai
It's not
Chi.
for out of professional view, just for the humanity benefit.
Right. Mhm. What about, do you have any messages for people in the world that are facing wars and fighting?
Fighting, that part, I work very hard about, talk about, the masculine nature, the male nature, have the combating tendency, make a small thing out of bigger, then become physical fight. Small size, bigger size, even more. I suggest to the strongest males should follow, particularly the world leaders should follow filial principle. Not to always think about how much soldiers, army, in my back I can use it.
Right.
Don't think about that way. That's not be good. Cannot be helpful for the world situation. We all let them fight through 1,000 years. The world and improvement made. Now, every day you find new weapons, continue to use weapons, but the world problems they cannot solve. Why they don't think about another way? Ideologically and weapon-wise, social systems, very easy can solve the sit down to talk about the legal conflict. But basically, each individual, each society, the world society, all attain the five health. That's the solution of world salvation means they can self-help them for the now we need a God to come down to do the work.
And I think it is part of being human, like in our body too, there's like fighting happening, and I think as a human, it is in our nature, like our greed and things along that nature. And I sometimes wonder, is war, are wars inevitable, or how can we bring the feminine principle?
There's two levels. One level is exercise. For example, in a family, you have brothers, sisters, husband and wife, mother, fathers. They sometimes have quarrel, sometimes have conflict.
Right.
Go ahead, this is part of your life. Just don't be over hold hatred. Because you don't need to be that serious. Emotional exercise is needed. But all go over the border, then it's destructive, real destructive, and not a happy thing.
Right.
The other thing I don't accomplish, you talk about a boy, if a family have a boy, have a children, how to help them. I have a book called The Foundation of Happy Life. The mother should read the book, a highline, put out a few words, few sentences, because the book too big. Just a few lines, few paragraphs. You think she think it helpful to the child, can specifically type it out or take it out, and let the children use it. That's pretty pure new generation.
So valuing the wisdom that has been passed on.
What your question, your worry is right. you know, even inside of individual life, because they have a different function, can cause a conflict.
Right.
The teeth can bite the lip,
Right.
but you don't. It's not the serious thing, because that's the healthy exercise. Even new friends take several months can, go under together, can be harmony. In life, you have all situations. You have self-grounding down to a new environment, to a new friend. Those are natural processes. But looking for, say, I'm gonna kill you, that's different. They allow people to live.
Right.
So, lots of people can have argument, can have a conflict, but are not develop to the, not allow the other side to live.
Right.
This is why I have a Taiji coexistence. Both sides all can live, all people should live.
Mm-hmm. And what should we do if we find ourselves, even though if we don't choose to fight or destroy things, but if we find ourselves in those situations?
Never believe only your side always right. When you have a confidence comes, you would rather hold 1 second, 1 breath, 3 breaths. Am I right? You can fight, but no insistence. What I'm talking about, let the water flow in the stream, or the river. Underneath the stone can jump over, but it's not could be insensible, become a poison. Internally, externally, the same principle. Emotion cannot be brewed to be poison. Just let the water flow, keep flowing. The water is like this. There's no other secret. Keep flowing.
Keep it flowing.
Keep going. Keep going.
So there's movement. There's.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot come back to fight. Yesterday's you offend me. So in the West, the sage Jesus, good example. He preaches no revenge.
No revenge.
No revenge.
Right. Yeah, that was my another question. What do we do if somebody hurt us and then we have a reaction to that?
You see the situation is who's the fault. Even the fault is the other side. You still need to forgive him because he maybe have other conditions. He don't know about the person, the other individual who offend you. Not sleep well, or don't have money support, or any kind of condition, or family trouble, or working trouble.
Right.
Or in that moment, she temple, drinking wine or something. But however, open up for for our own understanding. The world, people have all type of condition. We only take a normal way. This is how we have organized ourselves, have spiritual work. This is how we help the world. It is help ourselves. Not come to the awkward situation with the fight.
So it comes from inside out, not outside in. Comes from individual.
Right. The power is come from you. Yeah. Forgiving is a power. Fighting, people value the fighting power of the lot of forgiving. Can walk away. That's your more superior than the fighting. Fighting for children.
Do you have any messages for people of the West, America, and the Western part?
To the West, I work, I come over to United States in 75. In different time, they have a different power. In general speaking, I appreciate the Western people, American people. They are not as devious as some people. They are open. They are open. They can be helped if they pay attention to how I can become attentive well-being in all aspects of their life. Not only value about money and materialization.
Right.
The other part too.
There are other parts
Right.
in life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They will be happy. They'll be happy. In one hand, I expect America become a good nation, and all people become a good example for other people. I wish to do it. The way you react to the world is not depend on your material strength. It depend on your moral condition. It's just the same as individual. Your character can be more convincing strength than your military strength. That's our religion. The religion is depend on your moral condition, can become a most convincing power to the world, not the strength, physical strength, not physical demise.
And how about people of the East? I know culturally there are a lot of things that are different, people live differently. Do you have any messages for the people of the East?
Eat?
East. Like Asian
American,
people.
as I know, last time, I come back, last year I come back, I drive out to a different place called Murmurs. On the way, go to a gas station, and there people sense gain weight a whole lot, almost maybe there are 7 people overweight. In 10 people. They
Overweight.
Overweight. I think they need to watch their diet.
What's the diet?
Mostly, I think emotionally they feel need more support for food.
Right.
That's called self-abuse.
Right.
Affecting their health.
Right. And eating is such a fundamental part of life and health.
It's a dangerous trend for people's life.
Ask that question again. She asked that question again. What is your message for the people of the East? East, not West, compared to West. What is your message for the people of the East? So ask that question again. Go ahead. No. Let her ask the question. You ask that question again.
So do you have any messages for the people of the East?
East people means the other side of Pacific, right?
Asian people, China.
Generally speaking, the other side people are more diligent, like to build themselves. Just don't build tension.
Don't build tension.
They are going soon be like American when they never the tension. That will affect their health. Loyal and be faithful to life is correct, is good moral, good virtue. Japanese people, Korean people, Chinese people, they crazy in the work. Mostly.
Do you mean they work
They work hard.
hard?
They like to build a good life.
Right.
They are dutiful. That's something individually stronger than the Western people. The Western people, they are at society, they are stronger. So we should be balanced, learn each other.
Right, absolutely. That's one thing I've noticed being in Japan myself, like Asian culture, and then also being in the American culture. I've noticed big difference. Like Asian culture is a lot of diligent work and more community, society minded, but at the same time, as the culture and the country becomes more westernized, but at the same time there's lack of like movement or openings for like self-expression, and there becomes very I think people lose themselves, in the midst of like westernized society and lost in translation. So I wonder how we can balance those changes.
I think the West should learn from the East. Individual, good habit, good character, and be dutiful in their life. The East people should learn the West for the good system, good society. The good side. If each side learn from the better side, the world will be wrong sooner.
So learn from each other about good things.
And should team up.
Team up.
Team up. Team up. This is the human future. No world can be individual. Individual you cannot achieve the big goal of the world peace or world cooperation. We have to team up.
Yeah, I think we should probably